They said Mariah Lawson was a good mother. That's how the town knew her. That's how she introduced herself. PTA meetings, church fundraisers, perfect smiles on social media. If you asked anyone on Cedar Ridge Drive who set the standard, they would point to Mariah's white two-story house with the wreath on the door. No matter the season. What they didn't see was what happened after the doors closed, and what it would cost the one person who tried to tell the truth. This is a story about appearances, about power disguised as motherhood, and about what happens when an underestimated voice refuses to stay quiet. 16-year-old Lila Lawson learned early that silence was survival. Her mother didn't hit her not where anyone could see. Mariah's discipline was quieter, sharper, words that cut, punishments that isolated, rules that changed daily so Lila was always wrong. "You embarrass me," Mariah would say, smiling for guests moments later. "Do you know what people would think if they knew how difficult you are?" Lila tried to be perfect. Straight A's, clean room, head down. But perfection only raised the bar higher. Every flaw was a threat to Mariah's image, and threats had to be erased. When Lila finally spoke, up confiding in a school counselor about the constant emotional abuse, the machinery moved fast. Mariah cried. Mariah documented. Mariah controlled the narrative. Within days, Lila was labeled troubled, manipulative, attention-seeking. The counselor backed off. After all, Mariah was respected. Lila was just a teenager with mood swings and a disciplinary record her mother carefully curated. That was the first lesson. Power speaks louder than truth. Things escalated the night Lila secretly recorded an argument on her phone. Mariah didn't know she was being recorded when she said the sentence that would later shake the courtroom. "If you ruin my reputation," she whispered, calm and venomous, "I will make sure no one believes you." Not ever. Lila sent the audio to her best friend for safekeeping. She didn't know if she'd ever use it. She just needed someone else to know she wasn't crazy. 2 weeks later, Child Protective Services showed up not for Mariah, but for Lila. Mariah claimed her daughter was lying, unstable, dangerous to herself. She produced journals, selectively edited texts, a perfectly rehearsed story. The caseworker nodded. The file grew thicker with everything except Lila's voice. Lila was removed from the home. Temporarily, Mariah posted a quote that same night. "Sometimes loving a child means making hard choices." The likes poured in. Lila was placed with a foster family on the edge of town. They were kind enough, but kindness doesn't erase the damage of being disbelieved. She felt erased, rewritten by someone who knew how to weaponize concern. Mariah moved on quickly. New volunteer role, new photo shoots, interviews about parenting teens in crisis. She became an advocate using her daughter's removal as proof of her strength.
That was the irony. The woman who caused the harm was being rewarded for surviving it. Everyone underestimated Lila. They saw a quiet girl with shaken hands and no parents in the room to back her up. What they didn't see was the way pain sharpens focus, how desperation teaches patience. Lila started collecting truth. She requested her case file. She documented inconsistencies. She recorded phone calls. She learned that patterns matter more than accusations. And then she met Daniel Reyes. Daniel was a public defender nearing burnout, assigned to Lila's custody review almost as an afterthought. He expected another broken case, another uphill fight. Instead, Lila slid a notebook across the table, dates, quotes, screenshots, timelines, and the audio file. Daniel listened once, then again. That was the moment the balance shifted. He filed motions no one expected, subpoenas Mariah assumed she was immune to. He didn't attack her image, he let it speak for itself. In court, Mariah was flawless, calm, maternal. She cried at the right moments. The judge nodded along. Then Daniel played the recording. The room went still. "If you ruin my reputation, I will make sure no one believes you." Mariah's face didn't change at first. Then it did, just slightly. Enough. The judge leaned forward. That was when the power cracked. The investigation reopened. Not just into Lila's removal, but into Mariah's past. Former friends came forward. A babysitter, a neighbor who'd heard screaming through the walls, patterns that had been dismissed. When standing alone suddenly formed a shape no one could ignore. Mariah fought hard. She always had. But truth has weight, and once it starts falling, even the strongest hands can't hold it up. The ruling came down on a Thursday afternoon. Custody revoked. Protective order granted. Findings of emotional abuse confirmed. Lila was cleared. Justice finally had a name. Outside the courthouse, cameras swarmed Mariah. The woman who had built her life on perception now stood exposed by it. She said nothing. She didn't have to. The silence spoke for her. Lila didn't celebrate. She breathed. That night, in her new room with a family that listened, Lila replayed the judge's words in her head. Children deserve to be believed. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't victory. It was something quieter. Something deeper. Validation. But justice, as Lila was learning, doesn't always mean safety. Her phone buzzed just after midnight. Unknown number. One message. "You think this is over?" Attached was a photo Mariah sitting in a car, eyes on the camera, smiling. Lila's chest tightened. She understood then. Some people don't lose power when they're exposed. They just change tactics. Lila locked the phone and stared into the dark, steadying herself. She had spoken. She had been believed. And now, she knew the truth. Justice had been served, but the story wasn't finished. The cost of being believed. Lila didn't sleep. The image of her mother's smile lingered in the dark, sharp and deliberate, like a warning carved into glass. Being believed had felt like freedom for exactly one day. Then reality returned, quieter but more dangerous, because Mariah Lawson had lost her image publicly, and people like Mariah never forgive that kind of loss. They collect it. They wait. The next morning, the school called. There had been concerns, anonymous emails, claims that Lila was unstable, manipulative, still dangerous. The same words, recycled. The same script. Lila recognized it instantly. Exposure hadn't ended the power, it had redirected it. Daniel Reyes told her to document everything. Again, screenshots, dates, times. He warned her gently that retaliation often wears a polite face. People like your mother don't rage, he said. They reposition. And Mariah was already repositioning. Within a week, she launched a foundation. Mothers Under Fire, a safe place, she said, for parents falsely accused by ungrateful, troubled children. She spoke calmly in interviews, carefully, never naming Lila, never breaking the court order. She didn't need to. The implication did the work for her. Comment sections filled with sympathy. There are two sides. Kids lie. We don't know the whole story. Lila felt the old doubt creep back in, not her own, but the kind that grows when the world starts questioning what had already ruled true. That was the cruelty of dramatic irony. The audience thought the story had ended with justice. The victim knew it had only changed shape. Then the foster placement fell through. Not because of Lila, but because of pressure. Anonymous calls. Veiled warnings. You don't want trouble. The family apologized, embarrassed and afraid. Lila packed again. Silence had once been survival. Now it was being forced on her from the outside. Daniel pushed for emergency protections. The court agreed. On paper, Lila was safe. In practice, she was isolated. That was the new strategy. No direct harm, just erosion. What Mariah didn't anticipate was how much Lila had learned. Power leaves fingerprints. Lila traced them online. She followed donations to the foundation. Same names, same circles. The same social network that had protected Mariah before was closing ranks again. Only this time, Lila understood the pattern. She contacted the journalist who had broken the first story quietly, off the record. She didn't accuse. She shared timelines, contradictions, the rear, Foundation's board members, and their prior ties to family court advocacy groups that lobbied against youth testimony. It wasn't illegal, it was strategic. The journalist listened. That was the second shift. A long-form piece dropped 2 weeks later, not about Mariah's abuse, but about reputation laundering, how public sympathy can be engineered, how accountability can be reframed as persecution. Mariah wasn't named in the headline. She didn't need to be. Readers recognized the pattern. The Foundation's sponsors froze funding. Invitations stopped coming. The smiles tightened. Mariah responded with a single statement: "I will not be silenced." That sentence told Lila everything. Silence had never been the goal. Control was. The escalation came quietly. A motion filed to revisit custody on new psychological concerns. It was weak, but it forced another hearing, another room, another test of credibility. This time, Mariah didn't cry. She spoke about forgiveness, about healing, about how public shame had hurt her mental health. The judge listened carefully. Then Lila spoke, not emotionally, precisely. She described patterns, strategies, the way concern can be weaponized. She didn't ask to be saved. She asked to be understood. The judge denied the motion, firmly, publicly. Mariah's smile didn't return. Outside the courtroom, she didn't approach Lila. She walked past her without a glance, phone already at her ear. That was when Lila felt it, the certainty that the next move wouldn't be legal. That night, Daniel called. "There's something you need to hear," he said. "And I wish I didn't have to be the one to tell you." Mariah had contacted another teenager, a girl from the Foundation's support group. Similar story, similar language, different state. The same quiet harm, the same concern-driven control. Lila understood immediately. This wasn't just about her anymore. Justice had been served once. But justice, she was learning, isn't a finish line. It's her responsibility. Lila agreed to speak to investigators again, not as a victim, but as a witness to a pattern still unfolding. The irony cut deep. The thing Mariah feared most exposure was now inevitable. Not because of anger, but because of consistency. In the final scene of the hearing, the judge addressed the room. "Image is not evidence," he said, "and concern does not excuse control." Mariah stared straight ahead, stone still. Outside, the air felt heavy but honest. Lila stood on the steps, the same place where belief had first found her. Knowing the truth now carried weight beyond her own life. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. A single line. "You should have stayed quiet." Lila didn't delete it. She saved it. She understood now. Justice had been served, but the story was expanding. And somewhere beyond the camera's frame, the next chapter was already moving into place.